Hi everyone, my name is Shachar and today we're going to talk about database migrations and specifically AI-assisted migrations from Oracle to AlloyDB with Gemini. So as I said, my name is Shachar Guz. I'm a senior product manager actually working on the database migration service product in Google Cloud. So probably you heard quite a lot of sessions in general about AI, and we actually think and we see that with our customers that 2024 is the year and will be the year for rapid data platform modernization. That means that most of the business and organizations are not extremely pleased with their legacy databases. One of the biggest reasons, and again, it grew over the years, and in the last couple of years, it grew massively, is they don't have access to AI, right? They are not able to work and to do all of those innovations because their legacy database does not support AI or does not opening the gate for that. So only 1% of organizations are really satisfied about it. And those like legacy databases are holding, customers back, right? It's a lagging technology. It does not advance. Let's say that if you're using like the legacy database and you have like an open source database, let's say Postgres, you're enjoying the community, right? Rather than you're stuck and you have like a vendor lock-in. And usually the user experience in those legacy databases is pretty poor. One of the biggest reasons that customers don't love legacy databases is, of course, the cost. So those legacy databases has like a gigantic annual licensing fees, which are adding up, right? And this is a budget, and this is like a cost that is taken directly from your ability to innovate, right? So every year that goes by, every year that you're stuck there, it's another year that instead of moving forward, you basically stayed in the same place. I hope I didn't make you too depressed because I can tell you that migrating from legacy databases is becoming easier and it's becoming rapidly easier. And I will try to showcase how, right? I will try to showcase how do we look at it both in the database migration service team and in the database group and in general in Google Cloud. So what we're actually doing, we're investing in three pillars, right? We're investing in building great products. So DMS, I'm not the most objective person here, but it's a great product, right? So we have a great product, database migration service, and we actually infused it with Gemini that can actually or is actually accelerating the conversion and modernization processes. And you know what? Let me show you that later on. But we have great products, right? But it's never just a great product, right? Think about the challenge of modernization, right? You have a legacy database, you need to move from database A to database B. You're changing engines. You're moving from Oracle to Postgres. You're moving from SQL Server to Postgres. You need to translate your database code. You need to translate your application code. You need to move the data. You want minimal downtime. You want validation. All of that is complicated, right? And I'm not even talking about all the organizational preparation you have. So this cannot be solved with, one product that is like a silver bullet, 2 clicks, and that's it. This requires an ecosystem. And in Google Cloud, we have this ecosystem. We have experts, migration experts that are migrating customers for, tens of years. And we have like partners, right? We have in-house experts, we have partners, we have comprehensive third-party tooling. So you're getting a great product, but you're getting an ecosystem that supports you. And one more aspect that we're investing is that we're incentivizing you to do that, right? So if you have like some hesitations regarding, cost of these movements, so we have great incentives programs to help you doing that. And today I'm going to focus on the product side of it, right? On Gemini and database migration service. But let's start with an overview about what is actually database migration service for, if you never use it. So database migration service is the one-stop shop for database migrations to GCP. Actually, when we build this product, we decided that we want to build a simple, fast and intelligent product that would lead all other alternatives and products that exist in the simplicity and the way that the customer interact with it, right? So we can say that it's super simple and secure. One thing that we invested was that we created a product that is serverless, right? It's one thing that you don't need to manage, right? If you don't need to manage the replication instance, you don't need to give it to scale it up, to scale it down, to care about maintenance. It's serverless, right? And much of the configuration that you have in the migration is baked into the product, right? So into the customer experience in the console, you're seeing a lot of the things that you need to do, which makes the entire process easier, right? So of course, that you don't need to care about auto scaling, you're getting everything within the experience itself, and it's super flexible with connectivity that is secure. One thing that we made sure is that the biggest concerns for customers who are doing migration in general, regardless homogeneous, like to like, or heterogeneous from one engine to another engine, is they want to do minimal downtime migrations. So all of our use cases are minimal downtime migrations. That means that customers don't want to have business disruption. They don't want to have downtime of hours or even minutes. And so what we do is that with every use case that we're doing CDC, constant replication, that allows customers to do this switch without absorbing any disruption to their business. And we're leading by adding Gemini baked in heavily into the product. And again, I'm being extremely transparent. We're actually baking Gemini in the product that the way that it makes total sense. So it's actually accelerate the conversion rather than just using Gemini in order to to journeys that are not must for customers. We're using Gemini in a very concrete places that will accelerate your journey, and I'm going to show you a demo about it. So let's start scanning about the use case that we're actually supporting in DMS. So the first use case is our homogeneous use case, which is the like to like. And the first one, which is, by the way, the one that we launched, the first was MySQL and Postgres to Cloud SQL and AlloyDB. So this is a use case that exists for quite a while. We have many customers that are migrating on a daily basis. Their databases is serverless, it's secure, right? And it's offered with no additional cost. It means that you don't need to pay anything for DMS for this movement. What we actually chose, we chose a way for you to migrate that is we're using native replication technologies, right? So it's not like a black box that you're using DMS and you have no idea what's going on underneath. We're using native replication of the engine themselves, which guarantees the higher level of fidelity and greater reliability, right? You cannot get better than that. One thing that we're extremely proud of is that more than 85% of migrations that are running with database migration service are underway in less than an hour. So that it's super easy to set up. But we didn't stop there, right? What we did in 2023 and 2024, we doubled down on making migrations, and specifically homogeneous migrations to Cloud SQL and AlloyDB much more faster and more flexible, right? So now you are able to migrate with DMS much faster. We see customers migrating tens of terabytes of data of MySQL and Postgres to Cloud SQL MySQL, to AlloyDB, to Cloud for Postgres, right? Customers are enjoying, the great Cloud SQL, for example, Enterprise Plus offering, AlloyDB AI, and they are doing these migrations fast, right? Which is important for customers. When we keep doubling down on that, one thing that we just launched is the Percona Extra Backup support, which allows customers with MySQL database to migrate multiple tens of terabytes using physical backup, Percona Extra Backup, which makes DMS more flexible. And we will continue to evolve with that. You might ask yourself, okay, you spoke about MySQL, Postgres, what about SQL Server? And Cloud SQL for SQL Server, is an amazing offering. We see a rapid growth of it, and they need a great migration process or migration product as well. So DMS, we just launched a public preview of our SQL Server homogeneous migration. And we stayed in the same realm, right? We stayed in serverless, secure, no additional cost, And we actually chose the best way to do this type of migration, which is utilizing native backup restore. And then you get like the highest level of fidelity and great performance all around. And with the same flows, if you use MySQL, Postgres migration, SQL Server is very similar to that. And now if you have a SQL Server database, you're able to move to CloudSeq for SQL Server in a fast way. So after we covered homogeneous migration, now let's dive deeper into our modernization journey, our heterogeneous migration, when customers move from one engine to another engine. And the use case that we're supporting, and I'm happy to announce that it's now GA all around, is our Oracle to Postgres, which it can be Cloud SQL, can be AlloyDB, it doesn't matter, right? And in this modernization, again, we took a unique approach with saying we don't want customers to use multiple products, right? To decide that for this part of the journey I'm using X, for this part I'm using Y, and how do I make it compatible? You have one product. You have DMS when you do schema conversion, tables, for example, code conversion, database code conversion, I mean stored procedures, functions, and the data migration, everything within the same tool, which makes it much easier for customers to interact and work with. You don't need to scramble around with various products. And of course, as always, this is serverless, secure, and again, with the same easy flow. And I'm actually going to show you a demo about it. So now, both to Cloud SQL and AlloyDB from Oracle is GA. And again, we see a massive adoption with those products. And we didn't stop there, right? I already promised that I'm going to show how Gemini is actually changing the game for our customers and how it actually helps them to do this type of migration. So now we have the Gemini assisted code and schema conversion, and I'm happy to announce that it's in public preview, and it's actually revolutionizing database migration. I'm going to explain how. So let me maybe take a step backwards. One of the biggest challenges for customers when they're doing modernization, when they're switching from Oracle to Postgres, is the part of the translation or the conversion from the Oracle code, PL/SQL code, right? They have stored procedures that are written in PL/SQL, and they need to convert it to Postgres. And this is a different thing, right? It needs to be converted. And in some cases, this you have a huge amount of code in your database that you need to convert to a new language. And how would you do that? So how we solve it, we actually use two types of engines. We have the DMS deterministic conversion engine. DMS deterministic conversion engine is actually powered by CompilerWorks, which is a great technology that Google acquired and we actually used across other use cases, for example, BigQuery conversion. And this is a deterministic engine, meaning that it's a rule-based engine. When, for example, I know that if an Oracle type X converts to Postgres type Y, right? So it's a deterministic engine. It's a great deterministic engine. We actually see, very high rate of automatically conversion, but there is always still some portion, because every database and every code is different, that needs customer manual inputs. Let's take an example. We had a customer a while back that came with a database that had 10 million lines of code within the database itself. And they asked us to run the conversion. So we did it using the deterministic engine. And the deterministic engine did great. It basically converted, 90%. But then they still got left with a big portion of code that they need to convert on their own, right? Because the deterministic engine could not provide them with a solution about it. And what they actually did, they took this and they asked their developers how much time it will take you to convert these millions lines of code left. And the developers said it's going to take 60 man years. So of course this project didn't finish. And then this brought us to understand, okay, we need to think about a way how can we make every interaction the customer is doing and checks for every interaction, does it have other places where it can save us the manual inputs from the customers. So this is what we call last mile code conversion. you have the deterministic engine that is doing most of the process, but you have the last mile of the code conversion. And let's see a demo, how it works. So I already have a conversion workspace that looks like this. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to see all the objects that I'm used to see in Oracle database. So I'm able to see tables, functions, sequences, and everything. For each one of those objects in the conversion workspace of DMS, it's the playground for conversions, I'm able to see a status of the conversion. So conversion can happen without any issues. The deterministic engine converted without any issues. But in some cases, some action required, some like attention is required. So in this case, I have a stored procedure that is using, and I can read the issue using collections. And collections doesn't have like a very trivial um, translation to Postgres. And for example, this like bulk collect doesn't have it. And what I will do as an Oracle developer, if I know Postgres, I know how I can change it. If I don't, I need to find a colleague that knows how to do that. I need to browse the web. It would take me some time, but I will understand how can I translate this like bulk collect into a different into a Postgres compatible version. So this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm copying, pasting, and saving the SQL. And now actually Gemini got prompt once. It got prompt with the issue, with what was the change, and with the context. But it's not enough for a model to understand what's the other occurrences. So I will need to do it again. So I will open another stored procedure. I will check what is the issue of this stored procedure. This is a very different one, right? It's written differently. The structure is differently, but it has the same issue, right? It has the same bulk collections. I will search again, understand how can I fix it, and then I'm gonna fix it in the same way. Save SQL, which will save the updated Postgres SQL, and Gemini is now being prompt again, and he's saying, okay, I found multiple places when this change actually applies. So instead of doing that X amount of times more, I'm now being able to just review all of those changes and accept or reject them. And how can I review them? I'm actually opening a side by side view of my Oracle deterministic Postgres and the Gemini suggestion, and I'm able to see the changes, right? Which is, I think, mind blowing, right? So instead of doing this, think about like it would take, 20 minutes per stored procedure. Now I'm able to do it one that has tens, hundreds of other occurrences. Let me just, fast follow. So I will review all of them and think about the amount of time that it saved me. So think about this like customer that I told you about. Potentially they had the same issue happening in 1,000 different places. Think about how much time was saved using this last mile code conversion. So this is how, and the outcome of it is, a fully converted Oracle to Postgres. We ask ourselves, okay, so not all Oracle developers has access to, PostgreSQL friend or some knowledge in PostgreSQL, or even understanding what is the error or what do they need to do and how to find this PostgreSQL equivalent might take a long time, right? Think about how much time it would take you to understand an error, to browse it in the web, fix it, and get even to this like initial part. So how can we harness Gemini to bridge this gap? And then we actually introducing Gemini explainability, which solve exactly this challenge of modernization and of conversion. So it empowers Oracle developers to write and translate code into Postgres. So you have an Oracle developer, and now we're giving them much of the way, or we give them like a gigantic step forward in order to do these translations, right? So, and it doesn't require any input from them. What we want to answer, four different questions. One, how can I solve this conversion issue? Number two, how can I optimize my code? So think about that. I converted from Oracle to Postgres, right? The deterministic engine, but maybe this is not the right PostgreSQL function that it's using. Maybe it's not optimized memory-wise, and I want to make sure that it is. I want the conversion logic, right? So we want to help customers to feel reassured about what was the steps that were taken to do this conversion. So it helps to reassure them. And for future proof, we want to add comments for each object of the converted destination. And of course, let's see it in a demo. Okay, so I'm opening the same conversion workspace that I used before. I reset all the changes. And now, actually, I'm not the same Oracle developer. Now I don't have access, or it takes me a long time to understand what's going on. I'm opening the same stored procedure, but I find it difficult to understand what is the issue. I'm reading like the issue here. I don't understand what's collections or how does it relate to Postgres. And I'm trying to find a place where I can get more information. So opening the conversion assistant, this is exactly like the Gemini explainability feature. I can see the 4 questions. So how should I fix the conversion logic? What is the purpose? Comments? And how can I optimize the code? And of course, in this case, I have an issue. Let me see what Gemini can offer here. So I'm clicking how should I fix the object conversion issue. And Gemini actually gives me great explanation of what's going on here. It explains what is the issue, what is the refactoring approach, like how should I do, what should I do, what are the changes that it's offering, and the cool thing, it actually gives me the updated code, right? So it gives me as much as possible in order to progress this conversion. I can just use it as a starting point, or I can just save it, and this is the converted code. But remember, I have Gemini under the hood as well, and Gemini got prompt once, and he's trying to find other occurrences. So I will try to do it again, right? The same as before. I don't understand what's going on here. I would open the prompt on how should I solve or fix this object conversion issue. And then I would see a different explanation, but a very similar one, right? And I will use it. And if you would scroll down, in some cases, I will even get like, improvements of adding exception handling. But for this demo, I would just save my SQL. And again, Gemini will get prompt on the second time and will have enough data to actually give me more suggestions, which is great, right? I actually started from a very different starting point when I don't know actually what to do. And Gemini actually gave me the push to progress, provided me suggestion, provided me a code. I save it, I did it twice, and now it's actually showing me all the other places and saving me a gigantic amount of time. Okay? But remember, I said that Gemini can help us doing more things, right? So now let's take like an object that didn't have any issues to convert, but I suspect has a more optimized version. So let me open a function, and this function uses, it was converted without any issues, and it's using something that I suspect might have better way, right? I'm using something that I might have a more optimized version of it. I would click the conversion assistant. I would ask it, how can I optimize this code? And voila, now I'm able to see what are the optimizations, why it's optimizing, and what is the explanation of the changes. In this example, it's using a very specific function that can help me memory-wise. I can use it. I will insert the suggestion, save it, and I can actually now add comments for future use, right? So I'm documenting better my code, and it's actually adding great comments to the PostgreSQL as well, right? So this is actually the entire end-to-end journey of conversion. Okay, I took the hardest challenge of converting database code and used Gemini in order to help me. And I hope that now I proved that we're using Gemini in order to accelerate this and to make this process of database conversion and migration as easy as possible. And with that, I would like to thank you for joining the session today. And I want to ask you to start your migration today. You can visit our site, you can check our documentation, okay, or you can contact us directly. Thank you for joining.